first vlog style YouTube video. I'm really excited to share this with you. It's going to be a study with me pharmacology weekend. It's going to encompass my study days Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and my exam or midterm was on Tuesday. So the point of this vlog is to tell you what it's like to be a medical student, what I study with, how I study, what my days look like, and I really hope that it's going to be interesting for you. So, let's get started. Good morning, Saturday morning. I'm normally an early riser, so this was kind of a late wake up for me, but nevertheless, I made my coffee. In case you don't know too much about me, I wanted to share a little bit. So I'm a fourth year medical student in a 6-year program, and I'm really active on Instagram, which is how this whole vlogging idea started. So, back to my morning coffee. Ever since we got the Nespresso machine, I've been having coffee a lot more at home, and it's actually quite cheap compared to getting coffees out on the go, so I really like it. Afterwards, I went to my desk and I started typing up my to-do list. At this point, I was using Trello, but since then I've switched to another similar website called Asana. And here I'm writing out what I want to cover in the coming 3 days in preparation for the exam. I usually add to this as I go along, and I of course check things off as I finish them. The cafe that I was planning to study at didn't open till a bit later, so I took my time getting ready in the morning, brushing my teeth, showering, etc. Things I'm not going to show you because it's not that interesting. And at 8:25 I was out the door. Normally I like to make my bed out the door ratio a little bit shorter, but like I said, it's kind of a lazy study weekend this weekend. I have a 20 to 25 minute commute, so it's really quite short, but nevertheless I like to listen to some podcasts. This is one of my absolute favorites. I love going out and studying in different places. This is one place that I hadn't been to in quite a few weeks, so as you can see, I'm admiring the beauty of the city along with you. I really enjoy studying at cafes. Sometimes they can definitely be a little less productive, but it's also a lot nicer, and it helps me stay sane a lot of the time. So I just added some things that had occurred to me on my commute, and this is my setup. 8:53 I started to study. Not a very early start, but what can you do? I'm gonna explain a little bit about how I'm studying. So in medical school, at least in my school, most of our courses have topic lists, and many of our exams are oral. So in the beginning, I would prepare for my exams by going class by class, and very soon I realized that this would be very stressful during exam period because I wouldn't have the topic list ready. So what I've now started doing for pharmacology, especially this year, is even during the semester I would put things into this topic list format, so when the exam time came I could just simply study this and not have to rearrange my notes. What I did do differently for this midterm though is that I didn't make my own notes. We have a lot of really generous students in our medical school who've shared their notes with us. So for basically the first time in Pharma, I'm using someone else's notes, and here you can see me reading through it, highlighting it, just basically getting an idea of what's going on, and of course having my incredibly healthy cheesecake breakfast. I'm not really good at focusing and reading for a long time. My brain doesn't compute information that I simply read. I tend to zone out, so I often switch up what I'm doing. One of the really cool things about Pharma is that it has sketchy Pharma videos that you can watch to accompany it. So right now I'm just reading through these typed notes that are in the topic list format, and later on I'm going to integrate sketchy into it as well. Another thing that I almost always do is find YouTube videos, or in this case Kaplan videos, to accompany my studies as well. I found that Kaplan explained pharma concept really well, especially for autonomous nervous system last semester, so definitely recommend those. At around 9:30 I decided to upload one of my Instagram posts. It's a bit hard scheduling these during the daytime, but I decided to do it anyway, and then checked off the things that I'd done off my to-do list, which is one of the coolest feelings. As you can see, or you might not be able to see, but I drink quite a lot of water during the day, so I've always got my water bottle on me, and this means that I have to take quite a lot of bathroom breaks, but I'm kind of okay with that because it just means a bit more exercise during the day. So I'm rearranging my desk to make sure that the light is not in my eyes. And now what you can see here is that I've got a split screen on my iPad. On the left side I have the sketchy Pharma notes that I took earlier. And on the right side I've got the PDF of the student notes that I mentioned before. At around 12 I left to meet my mom. My parents are in town visiting from the United States, so we decided to have lunch together. I thought it'd be pretty quick, but she wanted me to accompany her to the dentist, and in the end what ended up happening is that I actually got my teeth whitened. So this quick little lunch that was meant to take an hour actually took almost 4. In the old days this would have absolutely freaked me out. I would be stressed about the upcoming exam, but I decided to just let it go. My parents are only in town maybe once or twice every year, so I went with the flow and took a nice walk back to Aldi, which is where we got some snacks for our study session. When I got back to the cafe, it was quite late, and I'll be honest, I wasn't as productive as I wanted to be, so after a while I decided to go home where I had dinner. At 8 o'clock I wanted to get a bit more done, so I put on some study music, which I've shared with you guys in the comments below if you're interested. And I made some Anki flashcards based on the student notes with some of the sketching. So I've just put a lot of the things that I think are important for the exam, just key concepts, into flashcard format so that I would be able to study them leading up to the exam. So usually I like to give myself a bit of downtime before going to bed. My bedtime is around 10:30 almost each night, so that I can wake up at 6. However, that's not really happening this weekend, as you are probably noticing. And then around 9:15, I turned off my computer, read a bit, and then watched an episode of The Simpsons, which is almost something we do almost every night. Sunday morning was a bit more of a successful early wake-up. I charged my iPad overnight knowing that I'd be needing it, and because it takes a really long time to charge. I took a quick shower and then got my morning coffee as usual. The only thing that would be different today was that I had to drink it through a straw, because as you might remember, I'd gotten my teeth whitened the day before, and I was warned that any sort of staining liquid like a tea, coffee, soda would actually end up lessening the whitening effect. I left the house wearing my new Skechers that my mom had just brought for me from the United States. A lot of these brand name items are a lot more expensive in this country where I'm studying, so it's actually easier to bring them from back home. The morning commute to the cafe where we agreed to meet was quite nice. I really love waking up early and being out and about before the rest of the city, especially like this Sunday morning where it was a bit dreary and a lot of the city was still awake as I was walking around. I spent some time marveling at the beauty of the city, as I do most days. I started my morning off with a bit of a breakfast, snack, and set up my study playlist alongside the Anki flashcards. I decided I would finish making the flashcards that I started the night before, and what I did was consolidate information from the student notes, the sketchy, things I found on the internet, and later on another set of notes that I came across. I really love Anki, in case that hasn't been clear before, and one of the cool features is that you can make flashcards insanely rapidly. So if you're interested in why I think Anki is such a great program, check out my other video. I worked pretty productively in the morning, which was nice. There was only one drawback, that I was still alone because my friends hadn't yet arrived. What this means is that every time I want to go to the restroom, I end up lugging all of my electronics with me. Luckily, it wasn't too late until my friend arrived, which meant that I now had a study buddy and also a guard. So that's when things got a little more busy in the cafe, so I was definitely using music. I studied for another 20 or so minutes before getting up and getting myself a lavender latte. I normally try not to drink coffee too late at night or too late in the afternoon because then I can't sleep too well at night, but noon time is still fine, or within the limits of being fine. Then I spend the rest of the hour making more flashcards using the set of notes that our teacher sent us. Even though she sent it a few days ago, I hadn't actually opened the email until today, so I didn't realize how excellent that resource was until that day. So I used those notes, which you can see on the left here, a very organized chart with the key concepts, and input some of those into flashcards as well. Lots of flashcards being made. One had to wonder when I was going to have time to study all of these, but no worries. So around 1 o'clock we decided to get lunch, and because the cafe doesn't have many appetizing lunch options, we decided to walk to a nearby fast food restaurant, if you can even call it a restaurant. It was a really nice break in the middle of the day, and we had about a 20-minute lunch of maybe not the healthiest things, but it was filling. At around 1:30 we made it back to the cafe, and after my usual restroom break, I was back to work. You have to excuse the weird filming angles that I'm using because I was trying to find innovative ways to shoot, and it wasn't always that successful. So anyway, here I am doing more work. How exciting is typing? Not very. So let me flip forward to the part where I realized that I hadn't watched all of the relevant sketchy pharma videos. I annotate all of the sketchy farm videos on my iPad because I find that it's really nice to draw over the pictures. Before I had the iPad, I would be printing out the pictures in black and white because I didn't want to spend the money on the colored ones, and this is really just a lot nicer and easier to make it readable and neat. So I annotated the sketchy using the video that I played on my laptop, and then guess what? Well, more flashcards. But before I do that, I actually had one of my friends arrive, and she'd been out to a party the night before, so we all sat around while she told us about the excitement events of the previous night. That was a pretty nice break around 3:30. Then while I was doing the flashcards, I realized that I was missing some basic physiology concepts. So I watched a YouTube video that I found online on calcium and phosphate and decided to take slightly nicer notes. I don't take many notes anymore. I used to a lot in first and second year, and I love it. I love making notes, but I find that it's not that good a use of my time. At this part of the day, I was feeling a bit drowsy, and I thought it might be a nice way to rejuvenate my focus if I just spent a little bit of time being creative. So I watched this video, and midway I realized I was kind of hungry. So buying myself a nice chocolate snack, getting my sugar back up, I finished the calcium video with basic physiology concepts and then took another break. Sometimes I take my breaks just watching something on my laptop, or in this case scrolling through Tumblr, which isn't the best because it's still considered screen time. Afterwards I finished up another sketchy farm video that I discovered had gone unwatched. Around 5:30 my friend said that we should go and take a nice walk. She was headed home, so we decided to go up to the basilica, but that turned out to be closed. So instead we ended up walking all the way through the city to a really nice, actually super fancy McDonald's, which you can see here, and just sat outside eating ice cream and enjoying the view. Afterwards I planned to study a bit more, but I found that after such a productive day, I'd rather just go home and rest. The following morning was Monday morning. Most Mondays we have class, including this Monday. We would have a full day of surgery lectures. But in the past, these lectures have always been incredibly unhelpful. So on this day, my partners in crime and I decided to not go to surgery and instead spend the day in the library preparing for our Pharma midterm. Since the library only opened at 9, I decided to sit at home and kind of plan out my week so I would know what I have. When I plan out my week, I start by putting in the absolutely necessary things. These are things like classes, any appointments I have, and any other engagements that I've agreed to. Afterwards, I fill in gym time. I look at the gym schedule online and find which classes are the closest in both location and time to other things I'd be doing around the city. Finally, I schedule in study time. I like to study in big blocks, so if there's just a single hour, that's not so great. Waiting for the library to open, I did some Anki flashcards. The iPad app for Anki is actually quite expensive, and since I already use it on my Android where it's free and on my laptop where it's also free, I decided not to buy it for my iPad. But that doesn't mean I can't use it on my iPad, because if you go to the website, you can still actually flip through the flashcards. It's just a lot harder to add them. I actually filmed the rest of Monday as well as Tuesday morning before the exam, because I'd originally planned to show you guys the full 4 days preparing for an exam. But I think this would have made the video unbearably long, so I'm gonna end it here, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment below or message me on Instagram. Otherwise, thanks so much for bearing with me. I promise my videos will get better. In the future, I'll be doing shorter videos involving just a single day in the student life. Things like what it's like to be in the clinic, talk to patients, lectures, go to practicals and so on, as well as some other tutorials about different apps and programs that will make your studying life easier. So thanks for watching, and I really hope that you stick by and wait for me to get past this quite steep learning curve of editing and making videos. Thanks again, guys, and see you next time.